sports fans, welcome to Super Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going over my Week 8 XFL predictions. So last week I had a record of 0-3, and that brings my record on the XFL season to 17-10. Before we start, obviously I'm sure you guys have noticed I'm not in my usual location. That is because we're having renovations done there, and I will be here for the next few videos, so sorry if anything looks or sounds weird. Starting off this week on Saturday's games, we've got the Battlehawks hosting the Vipers. So the Vipers, they're coming off a win over the Brahmas and a great offensive performance with Jalen McClendon at quarterback. Now, even though the Vipers got the win last week, they have been eliminated from playoff contention, becoming the first team in the XFL to be eliminated, and they no longer have anything to play for, even though their chances of making the playoffs heading into last week were very slim to begin with. For the Battlehawks, speaking of the playoffs, they need to keep winning to keep pace with the Sea Dragons and Defenders in the North Division for the second spot, as they are currently tied with the Sea Dragons, but the Sea Dragons have a big game against the Defenders this week we'll get to later. So these two teams met earlier this season. The Battlehawks destroyed the Vipers, and I think this game could be a bit more competitive, but I still think the Battlehawks will get the win. They're one of the most complete and well-rounded, balanced teams in the XFL, but I definitely think the Vipers could put up more than 9 points, which is what they scored in their first meeting, because Jalen McClendon looked really good at quarterback last week, and I think that could carry over to this week. But I still have the Battlehawks getting the win, as they will defeat the Vipers by a score of 26-16. Next game, we've got the Guardians hosting the Renegades. So this is a very interesting game. The Guardians, they're coming off their first win of the season, beating the previously undefeated Defenders. And the Guardians, they've also found something at quarterback with Quentin Doherty, who's coming off an outstanding 6-touchdown performance against the Defenders, probably the best individual performance of the XFL season. For the Renegades, speaking of quarterbacks, they've got an interesting quarterback situation, as starter Drew Plitt suffered a season-ending knee injury last week, which led to the Renegades signing former Clemson and Missouri quarterback Kelly Bryant, but he will be inactive this week, so that leaves Luis Perez or Kevin Anderson to start, and it will likely be Luis Perez. And regardless of who starts for the Renegades, whether it's Anderson, Perez, or even another quarterback, I don't really think quarterback changes their offense that much, because their offense has been pretty bad all season long, regardless of who's at quarterback. Drew Plitt, Kyle Sloter, and in this week, most likely Luis Perez, who's a very similar player, so I don't really think that changes a whole lot for the Renegades offense, which has been really bad all season long. Now, the Renegades, they narrowly beat the Guardians 10-9 earlier in the season. That was when the Guardians offense was brutal and still had Paxton Lynch at quarterback. Now the Guardians offense has been putting up points, and they're almost like a completely different team. And I'm going to be saying something I did not think I'd be saying this season, but I have the Guardians getting the win over the Renegades in a lower scoring game, 18-9. Moving to the games on Sunday, we have the Brahmas hosting the Roughnecks. So the Brahmas are another team with multiple quarterback options after last week's starter, Kurt Benkert, suffered 3 broken ribs and has been placed on the injury reserve and is out for the remainder of the season. So the Brahmas options at quarterback are Jack Cohn, who started the majority of their games so far. They could go with Jawan Paz or the newly added Paxton Lynch, but as a Guardians fan and seeing Paxton Lynch play for the first however many weeks of the season, I would definitely not recommend for the Brahmas to start Paxton Lynch. But it seems as if the Brahmas will be starting Jack Cohn. But whoever starts for the Brahmas, I wouldn't really expect their offense to be that good, because their offense hasn't been good all season long, regardless of who's a quarterback, similar to the Renegades. For the Roughnecks, they've got 2 quarterbacks as well who they could start, Brandon Silvers or Cole McDonald. Silvers was the starter for the Roughnecks up until last week, when Cole McDonald got his first start of the season. Now, we don't know who it will be this week, but regardless of who's starting for the Roughnecks, I think this should be a lower scoring game, because both teams have tremendous defenses, but I think the Roughnecks have the better offense, and I think they will get the win. But it should definitely be noted offensively for the for the Roughnecks, that they have not been very good offensively since the loss of star wide receiver John Shea Kirkland. But I do have the Roughnecks doing enough offensively and snapping their 3-game losing streak, as they will defeat the Brahmas rather easily by a score of 20-6. And our final game this week, we've got probably the best game of the week. That is the Sea Dragons hosting the Defenders. So this should be a tremendous high-scoring game. The Sea Dragons are on a 5-game winning streak and 5-2. The Defenders are 6-1, but coming off their first loss of the season. Now, both teams have shown the ability to score and put up a lot of points, and both teams have tremendous offenses. The Defenders, they score nearly 30 points a game, and the Sea Dragons average about 22 points a game. Now, these two teams also have very different offenses, despite both offenses being very good. For the Sea Dragons, they've probably got the best overall all-around offense with a great passing attack and also a good ground game. Plus, they just added former NFL running back Philip Lindsay. For the Defenders, they're a team that is a run-first team, and they want to control the clock, run the football with star running back Abram Smith. Now, defensively, both teams are solid as well. The defenders have a good defense and live up to their name, because that would kind of be pretty weird if the defenders were named the defenders but had a bad defense. But I think it was just an off game for them last week where they gave up 37 points to the Guardians. So I could truly see this game going either way. I'm going to go with the Sea Dragons in a very high-scoring, greatly entertaining game and handing the defenders their second loss of the season, and also their second straight loss, as the Sea Dragons will get the win in a highly entertaining game, 32-28. But that's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible. Make sure to check out the community tab of my channel where you guys can vote on who you think will win this week's games. But I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.